Hi, and welcome to Saturday morning. It's February the 10th. Bill Ella said, I predict Tim's going to wear a red shirt. Ta-da! Yes, it is Chinese New Year. So the celebration sort of started a couple of days ago. In fact, it was on Thursday night that a lot of people were sending off firecrackers. I call it the Festival of Making Noise because they do tend to like making a lot of noise. I'm just going to turn the sound down there. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Seem to have plenty of volume. Picture seems to be in focus. I'm a bit of a tilt here because I'm out the front of Chip Fair Lele here in Thailand. And just making sure everything's okay. Click, click, click. Yes, yes, yes. So we're along the forefront of the frontage or road. Now that road there disappears, it goes about 10 kilometres. In about 5 kilometres it ends at the gate of the national park, and then it keeps on going beyond that, but you have to pay to go there. So we've got the traffic going past, not a lot of traffic, and we've got a very, very pleasant day. When I woke up this morning I went for a quick walk. And I suppose it was about 7 a.m. in the morning, and just out the front of my house, that's looking north, and that's that 5 kilometre stretch of road. Just over the road from me is the beach, and during the day we get a lot of food vendors there. And then that's looking south back towards, say, Puket with the Orbotor next door. So that's sort of roughly what I get to see each morning. And then that's looking back at my little house, which is still being built. And as you can see, the sun just coming up over the horizon. And at the beach, we've got a few soy dogs just enjoying a bit of a respite. And then if you look down south, it's just one long stretch of beach, and it goes as far as the eye can see all the way back to Puket. And then if you look to the north, exactly the same situation. You've got those casuarina trees and that straight stretch of beach all the way up to, basically Khao Lak, although there's a few promontories in the way. So, yeah, that's my beach that I go for a swim in at least once a day. I certainly enjoy the pleasure. So that's the life here at what Steve Ross calls Turtle Beach. But technically it's the Tai Muang Beach. A lot of people say, I can't find Turtle Beach on the Google map. Well, that's because it's not officially Turtle Beach. Now, I'm the only person here at the cafe at the moment, but I know there are a few people around the corner. I can see their bikes. But I'm absolutely sure during the next hours you'll be able to enjoy the arrival of people who are cycling from, maybe Khao Lak or maybe Puket or somewhere else, and they will arrive here for a coffee this morning. Yesterday, one of the stories, or our main story, was talking about Good morning. Sorry, getting distracted as usual. The gentleman who opened the door on the aeroplane, the Airbus, just before they took off in Chiang Mai. And there was a lot of debate about how you can open a door before it takes off, and that you can't open the door once you're at cruising height because of the air pressure. It's probably a good thing. I got lots of comments about that, and people telling me a bit more about planes and doors and stuff. And this particular comment was very helpful, and from the Russmeister, with regard to the Canadian opening the aircraft door, he shouldn't have done that. So I couldn't agree more. He shouldn't have done that. Now, hello to everybody who's here. We've got Val, greetings from Sunbury in Victoria. I just remember the Sunbury Music Festival many years ago. Good morning, Tim and everyone from Daryl McGee. We've got Scott D from Chicago. Could go for a bowl of wonton soup with sweet pork from Foodland right about now. I do have an extension cord going across here. I am worried that people are going to trip over it. I've put a chair in the way, but somebody will trip over it. We'll see what happens. So we've got good evening from Milford in Connecticut from the Snives. Hello there in Connecticut. Got a lot of people all around the world. What else we got? Somebody's girlfriend got their visa. Good. It only took 16 months apparently to get the visa. And somebody says that's fast. Morning, everyone. And Tim from Vince. Richard saying, hi, Tim. Hans asking if... Hans is absolutely preoccupied with Steve Ross. I don't think he's made a comment in the last 6 months. It hasn't included Steve in the comments. Greeting from Koh Samui from Maine. Just one grumpy old sod today, apparently. I don't know what's going to happen over the next hour. I don't know who's going to turn up. We'll just have to see. Hi from Wantirna South in Melbourne, good part of the world. Morning, Tim from Bangkok. Hi, Tim. Do you miss Puket, says Peter? No. Phuket's a very, very different place to live than here. Puket in many ways was quite convenient because you had shopping centres and cinemas and beaches and plenty of people to talk to and cafes and restaurants and all the trappings of a modern place to live. Here is quite different. There's nothing around here. I always tell people if you're going to come here, make sure you've got something to do or bring some good books because there's no bars technically. There's no shopping centre, there's no cinemas. It's just a very, very quiet part of the world. So a very different way to live your life here compared to Puket. However, it's a great place to live for me. It suits me. It suits my lifestyle. It suits what I'm doing at the moment. I'm still writing for a publication every day. I'm still doing my YouTube program every day. I've got my Sunday guest just down the road. And what else? I've got my Airbnb properties. Not Airbnb, they're short-term rental properties, and they're just booked out at the moment. Pretty much you can't get a booking until probably the first week in March at the moment, when there might be a few days available. So everything's going really well for me, touch wood. I hit the magic 65 in 10 days' time. And that, I suppose, is going to be a bit of a spiritual moving on. I'll be retirement age, but I'm far, far, far from retiring, and I'm enjoying this particular era of my life very much. I'll just be very happy when the renovations are finished and I'm not sort of confronted with a paintbrush and empty walls. I've still got plenty of painting to do. And once you think you've done all the painting, there's that corner there and there's that architrave, and it just goes on and on and on. So a gentleman arriving who is selling, I think he's selling sweets and like something looks like Turkish delight, but probably tastes like fish sauce. Big thanks to some super chats. Let's see what we've got here. Hello, David Clark. Good morning to you and your family. Hi, Tim. Please allow yourself a couple of fortune cookies. Take care. Thank you very much, David. Yes, I'm sort of not so much into most of the Chinese New Year celebrations, although I love seeing the people enjoying it. Taiwan has a lot of Chinese heritage, and a lot of people who would have Chinese ethnicity, which would be a hangover from all those years when the area was basically tin mines, a lot of mining going on, and there would have been a bit like the gold rush in Australia, a lot of Chinese coming to take advantage of the opportunity, and a lot of them stayed. So things like the Vegetarian Festival and the Chinese New Year, or the Lunar New Year as some people like to call it, it's very, very popular in this particular area. So thank you, David, and best wishes to you and your family. From Durian also, thank you very much, shouting me a coffee. I've actually had 2 coffees this morning. Last night we had a guest arriving at 10:30 at night. That's about the latest we've ever had a guest arrive. So I was struggling to keep my eyes open and didn't get that much sleep last night. So I've had a few coffees this morning to give me a bit of a kickstart, but I've got my trusty water here. John Ash says, any news on the 90-day visa exemption? I just knew there was going to be somebody. Now, it was probably 10 days ago that it was in the news and it was going to go to the cabinet, and exactly what was going to happen with the 90-day visa was hanging in the balance. We've heard nothing. If it was brought up at the cabinet meeting, it was probably discussed, and nothing was finalised, and certainly nothing was leaked to the media. So as far as I know, there's just nothing in particular happening with the 90-day visa exemption, which would be an extension for a lot of people from the current 30-day visa exemption to 90 days. So we might even see young Captain. Remember, he was here a couple of weeks ago? So we might have a visit from Captain, who's the son of the owner here at Chip Fair Lele, and he was quite a chatterbox, as we used to call them. Vernon says, I love the way Mr. Ross picks up plastic from the beach. Shame he can't spell environment. Well, yes, Steve, he's just, as we saw in last week's Grumpy Old Men, created the Yindi twins with bottle tops and flotsam and jetsam that had landed on the beach. And he's quite the artist. And I'm not exactly sure what he's going to do with those Yindi twins, but I might be inclined to try and get them off him if we can get I'll have to make a small donation, of course, which would go to Chum Nan, because Steve's retired. So anyway, we'll see what happens with the Yindi twins. But yeah, Steve is quite the artist when it comes to putting all the stuff from the beach that he loves collecting every morning and turning it into some art, such that his place has just turned into, well, he's got no room. He's going to have to get a bigger place, or he's going to have to extend out the back or something. We'll have to see what happens. Morning, Tim. It looks quite busy there. Yeah, it is quite busy. People are starting to arrive, and a lot of them wearing, well, these guys aren't. They're not wearing much in the way of Chinese New Year, but generally people have been getting around the last couple of days here in their red shirts. I noticed last night at the beach I went for a swim, and there was about, 50, 60 people, all there in their red shirts, watching the sunset. I'm not sure if that's a Chinese New Year tradition. Keen ornithologist here. Is Turtle Beach a good location for exotic bird watching? Do you have a bird feeder in your garden? Well, thank you, Data Boy. Okay, I have to admit I'm not really that knowledgeable about ornithology. There are plenty of birds around here. I don't have a bird bath in the garden, although we definitely will install one at some time, because I do love a bit of nature arriving from time to time. I do have 2 cats. They tend to be a bit of a deterrent for birds, and they have sort of run of the place. But if I put it in a carefully prepared place, usually the birds can get into the bath and have a quick swim or a drink before the cats know that they're even there. So I can't tell you much about the birds in the area, except there is plenty of wildlife. Touch wood, haven't seen many snakes. I think I've seen 1 snake since I've been here, and it wasn't a venomous snake. And also I think I have to... mosquitoes. Very few mosquitoes. I've only seen a handful of mosquitoes. Not a handful, but like as in you could count on one hand. Not many mosquitoes around here at all. I'm not sure if it's something to do with the coast or the onshore breeze or what, but nothing in the way of mosquitoes. So as far as the 90-day visa exemption, I've got nothing to add, because nobody has said anything since there were sort of murmurings from the TAT about 10 days ago. So I'm not sure if it went to Cabinet and was decided or not, but we certainly haven't heard anything. A question from Nick S. Isn't the tax matter more important than the 90-day reporting? Still no news on that, and many impact decisions on transferring money to Thailand. Well, Nick S., you're probably right. It is more important for some people. However, as far as the tax matter is concerned, like everything else in Thailand, and I imagine this would be really no different anywhere else in the world, if there is some sort of tax ruling, some change to the tax laws in your country, it does take a little bit of time for it to make itself clear. And you're going to need some test cases and a bit of time to see exactly how the rubber hits the road. Now, it's certainly not going to impact everybody. In fact, I think it's probably going to impact a lot fewer people than we might think. But at the moment, there's nothing I can really tell you about that. There are plenty of people in the world of accountancy and taxation who have jumped on the internet and said it's black and white and it's this, this and this. I would say it's certainly going to be a lot more nuanced than that. There will be workarounds and there will be clever accountants that can find ways around these new tax rulings. So Nick S., you're right, it's certainly going to be very important for some people. But at the moment, there's nothing I can specifically tell you that's going to amount to some sort of black and white decision for everybody out there. If there was, I would have told you so far. I'm a little bit... Look, I could get an accountant to sit next to me and explain what they think is going on with this new tax ruling. But let's just wait for a bit of time and just wait for a little bit of experience with these new rules to see indeed who it is affecting most and how it's going to be applied and what people are doing to work around those rules. So thank you, Nick S. By the way, love the shirt, very stylish, says Durian. $1.95 up the road, and I'm not only I wore it at the start of the week, I knew I'd wear it today, and because we're recording Grumpy Old Men today, I'm sure I'll be wearing it on that program, and then it'll probably never be worn again. Daryl McGee, totally agree, but Lewis Carbo, thank you very much for your extremely generous donation. Tim, I love your shirt. Where did you get it? I will not watch your former employer since you left. So, as far as the shirt's concerned, there are two main shops up the road that sort of specialise in sort of Chinese paraphernalia. It might be clothes, it might be joss sticks, it might be other incense and flags and sort of this and that, all sorts of stuff. And I know of two shops, and at the moment they've got lanterns everywhere, and of course they're taking advantage of one of their big sales times of the year. So there are a couple of these shops up the road, and both of them had lots and lots of red shirts hanging out the front, and luckily for me, in my size. I think this is an XL. So usually in Thailand I'm wearing an L or an XL depending on exactly where I am. Lewis, thank you very much and appreciate your support of the program. Just spotted an oriole out my condo window, bright yellow with black trim on the wing. I'm figuring that's a bird. But again, I'm not really so much into ornithology, so I can't speak with any great authority. That's from Stephen Richter, so thank you, Stephen, for that. Wilco has a question, says, "G'day, Tim. I do have some news to get to, by the way. Did you get to Puket Zoo while it was still open? Read a review describing it as hell on earth for the animals." Well, yeah, that closed probably about 6-7 years ago. I did go a couple of times. I went once as a journalist reporting about an ape called, not an ape, a orangutan called Milo, who was having a horrible time there, and we got Milo freed. Sadly died soon after. But the zoo was an awful place, probably one of the worst zoos, alleged zoos I'd ever seen. So that closed quite a long time ago, and glad to see the end of that hellhole. Edna says, "Morning, Tim." Hi, Edna, to you. Now, some important news. Let's get to these stories, and we'll go back to here. Another bus crash. Hello, gentlemen. Come here. Show us your shirt. Show us your shirt. Look at this. Look at this shirt. Look at this. Wow. That is a good happy Chinese New Year. Gong Si Fa Chai. Okay. Not a word of English, but there you go. I love his shirt. Good shirt, young man. So let's go to the Bangkok Post. Poor guy. And 13 Danish tourists hurt in van crash, driver killed. A Thai driver was killed and all 13 young Danish passengers injured, 3 of them seriously, when their van veered off a hillside road and plunged into a ravine in the Pai district of Mae Hong Son on Thursday night. 10 Danish women and 3 Danish men involved. The collision claimed the life of the 50-year-old driver, left all 13 passengers injured, with 3 sustaining serious injuries. According to a preliminary investigation, the van left Chiang Mai at 6:30 Thursday night for Pai district. and the tourists were aged between 19 and 25, intended to attend the popular full moon party at a restaurant in Pai. Pai is a funny little town. I've been there, and it's about, 2 or 3 hours out of Chiang Mai, just from memory, heading sort of northwest. It was a while ago that I did the trip, but it's become a sort of a bohemian headquarters, and I think there are quite a lot of mind-altering drugs consumed there, and no doubt a thing like the full moon party would do very, very well there. So it has become a place. I think they've got things like the tubing down the river while you're consuming a bucket full of, I don't know, and neither do the people who are drinking it know. But looks like they were heading there for a good time, but they didn't get there. Very sad to hear of another bus crash, and sadly a fatality. In Pai, parties are often held for foreign tourists, prompting transport firms to increase the frequencies of their vans to accommodate the rising number of foreign visitors. The one thing I do remember about the roads there, they are quite windy and up and down, and sort of place you'd have to just take a little bit of extra care while you're driving. Getting to this next story, I think I called it horny macaques in our thumbnail. And Lopburi macaques are going to be relocated. Macaque monkeys in Lopburi province that have caused a nuisance to visitors and residents in Lopburi will be relocated to a zoo by the end of this month. And the Lopburi municipality and the National Parks Wildlife and Plant Conservation Department have joined hands after receiving complaints from many people. And they're going to put them in a huge cage. Now, there's a lot of monkeys. It's going to have to be a particularly large cage. As we've got the arrival of a group of cyclists, who I imagine have come all the way from Puket. And the macaques have been causing trouble to people, visitors and residents around Pra Prang Sam Yod, where they've been residing and multiplying. And it's the multiplying. These monkeys are going to keep on multiplying. Despite the fact that many have been neutered, he added that this facility can accommodate up to 300 monkeys. Since 2014, the department sterilised about 5,000 macaques. The population has now dwindled to about 2,200. Well, there's still plenty of macaques though, and still plenty of unneutered monkeys, and they will keep on procreating. How bad is the problem? Check this out. This is just a video. There we are, start it up. This is the sort of what a lot of people in the town are having to confront, some of them on a daily basis, where these monkeys, there's sometimes warring factions and they just like getting it on. There's a whole lot of macaques just waiting to, cross the road and go shopping. Plenty of macaques, and if you run into that, they can be quite dangerous in a pack that size, and if they decide they want to cross the road, there's not much you can do except stop and wait until the monkeys have, staying in the middle of the road. It's not really helping very much, but there you go. That's some of the problems with the macaques in Lopburi. So I thought something that they could probably do in Lopburi is maybe educate the monkeys. Now, it works with humans, so I've suggested some books they might be able to use. There's this one called It's Not the Stork. I think that would be very helpful to explain some sex education to the monkeys, or perhaps this book, It's Perfectly Normal, Changing Bodies, Growing Up, Sex, Gender and Sexual Health, or Come As You Are. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Or this one, Hair in Funny Places. So perhaps all those books might be able to help out those monkeys. So the macaques causing a bit of a problem in Lopburi. Once a year they actually have a celebration where they feed the monkeys and have festivities, and they give them watermelon and food and spend a lot of money making the monkeys happy for at least one day. For the monkeys, this is just their home. And they're having a great old time, except there's also a town which is trying to get on with its life. And a lot of people go to Lopburi to take photos of these marauding monkeys and macaques. but it looks like it's causing a problem again. The only way to sort it out long term, exactly like the soy dog problems in some areas and soy cats, is to neuter them and then release them so that they don't go and have more babies. Let's go to some more comments and just see what we can find here. As I said, it's hundreds and hundreds of messages. I can't get through all of them. I do my best. G'day, Tim. Did you get Puket Zoo, wood pigeons? Okay, we're talking about ornithology. Definitely great shirt, said DJ's Universe. Cheers from Canada. Keep up the great work. Definitely appreciate the updates and keeping us connected. Thank you. Come on, people. Over 400 watching, but only 56 likes, says Data Boy. Yeah, I mean, it does help if you can just go to that thumbs up or thumbs down. Give us a thumbs up, and that would be much appreciated. You don't have to subscribe. You can just give us a thumbs up without subscribing. But while you're there, subscribe as well. And red lanterns everywhere here in Bangkok, says Stephen Richter. I'm hardly surprised. The Chinese New Year, or the Lunar New Year as some people call it, is extremely popular here in Thailand. A lot of Thai people do have Chinese ancestry. And it's another one of these festivals where it's bright and shiny and people give, what's it, the ao po, where the people give money. Yeah. And there's the food and just the whole excitement of it. So, and firecrackers, lots of firecrackers, of course. And what else we got? Question: when there is a bus accident, who pays for the hospital bills? That's a good question. I imagine it's going to be the bus company. There's going to be insurance involved, for sure. So I think insurance would be covering most of it. And all those bus companies would have to have insurance to be able to get a license to ferry people around. Fair question, but I'm pretty sure it would be insurance. Vince says those van drivers are crazy. Not all van drivers, but some of the van drivers, yeah. Had one trip where the guy was doing 120k per hour while texting on his phone. Yeah, there are trips you can take from Puket, for example, and head down to the Malaysian border to do a border run. There would be hundreds of buses every day, those passenger vans, and those people do that trip every single day, and they certainly get a bit of a clip on if they get an open stretch of road. And yeah, 120, I wouldn't be surprised at all. You'll never get me on one of those death trap buses. I'd rather be flying in a Boeing 737 MAX with dodgy door bolts, says Robbie. Paulie D, how's the air quality in Pattaya lately and today? IQ Air was showing it unhealthy for sensitive groups this morning. That's certainly the situation. In fact, our next story is about the air quality. And let's go to thaipbsworld.com. Hundreds of firefighters tackling fires in the Western Forest Complex. This is around the Kanchanaburi area and around the sort of Thai-Myanmar border. About 250 firefighters have been deployed by the Department of National Parks, Wildlife and Plant Conservation to prevent fires in the Western Forest Complex from spreading. So far, 1,600 hectares of forest have been damaged. According to the department, more than 200 hotspots were detected in the Western Forest Complex in the past week, and they've identified Tak Lampang, Phetchabun, Chiang Mai, Nakhon Sawan, Mae Hong Son, Uttradit, Pitsanalok and Nan as being the high risk of fires. And the GISTDA says that areas most at risk are farmland, protected forest and land under the Land Reform Program due to the burning of farm waste after harvests, land clearing for the next crop or the search for forest products. And Kanchanaburi had the most hot spots. So this is the fire maps. I refer to this often, and both the Thai authorities and you can check these maps anytime you want. And we can see in the circle is that western area of Thailand they're referring to, including Kanchanaburi, and you can see a concentration of fires there at the moment. And that arrow they're pointing to Cambodia, with a lot of fires on the Lao and Thai border, certainly the biggest concentration of fires. But over the past week, we've seen more of the PM 2.5 and air pollution problem up in the northeastern and the northern part of Thailand. And if we have a look around Bangkok today, this is from iqair.com. Bangkok, not that bad, but you wouldn't call it particularly pleasant if you are trying to enjoy a clear day there. And then if you look further down to Pattaya, yeah, it's certainly not horrendous, but not great either. And also some fires there to the northwest of Bangkok, which does include the Kanchanaburi area. And we go up there checking the north of Thailand, and that's sort of including places like Lampang, Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai, and particularly bad air pollution there today. The whole zone sort of shrouded in that red haze, and you can see some areas with unhealthy breathing air. Good news there, though, for the people in the northeast of Thailand. It was horrendous, I think, about 2 days ago, but certainly appears to have cleared up a lot over recent days, even some green areas. And once you get green and yellow, then the air is much better quality. And, okay, well, that's that. It's people zooming off, heading off to other places. So this Chip Fair Lele is quite a popular place. People drop in. They do some great bakery here, things like brownies and banana cakes and cheesecakes and blueberry cakes. And brownies, just normal brownies, by the way. And who knows? But I just usually come here and enjoy a coffee and breakfast. It's probably the only place along this strip that you can get a Western-style breakfast. Okay, let's go to all your comments, and basically the rest of the program is now over to you. Questions, comments, complaints, anything you'd like to know. I'll do my best to answer your questions. If I don't know, then maybe somebody else will. So that's the air quality. That question from Paulie D. I'm sure Hans will adopt some of those monkeys and teach them as a drink tequila. Okay, good. Brett Border from California. Canada. Hi, Brett, and thank you very much for your support. Brett says, good evening to everyone. So still Friday night for Brett. That's great, and what I'm looking for, but I've asked a couple of times before where you've said it isn't safe to swim every day. Are we talking about here? Brett, I'm not exactly sure what we're talking about there. I imagine when you are messaging, you are responding to something that I'm talking about at the time. By the time I get to read it, I'm talking about something else. So you usually just need to give me a bit of context to your comment, which sort of helps a bit. So is it safe? Well, the water here, there's no really bad currents. I mean, I've been swimming here for 4 months now, and this is the best time of the year to swim here. There will be times during the monsoon, which sweeps in from the southwest with a bit of a bang. And certainly during most of the monsoon, it won't be safe to swim at this beach. Although I'm sure there will be days when the southwest abates a bit and I can pop in for a quick swim. But for this time of the year, there's no real problem. Now, it's such a sudden sweep into deep water that the waves don't really break until they hit the shore. So if you've got a 2 metre swell, you're going to get those 2 metre waves breaking right on the beach. Now, I haven't seen anything up as high as 2 metres since I've been here. Certainly you'd get at least 2 metres during the the southwest monsoon, but excuse me. But for now, maybe we get half a metre or a metre surf breaking on the beach, and the water can hit you pretty hard, especially when you get a bit older. If you're not a good swimmer, I'd say you should be extremely careful. Make sure you swim with somebody else, and also time your entry into the water with the rhythm of the wave. So once the wave is broken, then it's your time to get into the water. Once you're in 3, 4, 5 metres, you're pretty much up to here with water, and it's very, very, very pleasant indeed. But they leave the red flags up pretty much all throughout the year, warning people not to swim here. But I have to say, if you are an okay swimmer and you've got somebody with you, that you shouldn't have any problems. But I always suggest to people, if you are going to swim here, just have a stand on the beach and have a bit of a look at what's happening with the water, get an idea of the rhythm of the waves, watch for any currents or rips. As I said, I haven't really seen any, and then act accordingly. But the locals here don't swim that often, and usually it's mostly foreigners doing the swimming. Bill Ellis asks a question: will your newest beach house have a broadcast studio? Well, the new place, which is just down the road here, is going to have a broadcast studio. I wouldn't go so far. It'll have a corner. It'll have an area. It'll have a desk and some plugs. But, I mean, the equipment won't really change. I'll have a corner to do the program every day. Some days we'll get out and about. Some days I might be travelling. So I've tried to keep my equipment fairly compact, because if I am travelling, I don't want to be carrying boxes and bags and suitcases around. I want to make sure I can get it in my backpack, my trusty backpack. So everything I need travels in the backpack with me. So yes, it will have an area. But behind the house, we've also got a new one-bedroom. At the moment it's called the Bamboo Beach House, but it's going to be a one-bedroom short-term rental property, and it's going to, it won't have a view of the beach per se, but you will be within about 80 metres of the beach should you want to go and have a swim or go and have a walk or just take a beach chair out and sit and enjoy it. There will be some sitting areas there where you can sit and watch the water. But yeah, that's going to be a new one-bedroom beach house, which will mean I'll have 3 short-term rentals, which basically is going to be sort of my retirement. Hopefully the business will keep on going the way it's been going so far. During the monsoon, I imagine things will get a lot quieter, but there'll still be plenty of places to enjoy, plenty of places to visit, lots of great restaurants, and plenty of opportunities to relax. Daryl McGee, thank you very much for your long-term support, Daryl. Looking forward to seeing you live in Thai time in 2 weeks. So, Daryl, heading up to Thailand. How are you getting here, Daryl? How are you travelling to Thailand this time? Wigan News Beach House air was really bad in Royet and Isan 2-3 days ago. Yeah, Bill, as we could see and as we mentioned on the program, it was very, very poor air quality up in Isan. So depending on where that wind is blowing, you're going to get either better or worse quality air. But it looks like Chiang Mai, which had escaped the worst of the air pollution for December and January, and wow, the government was crowing about it. Oh, we've solved the air quality problem. Well, maybe they should check the IQ air today, and I think over the next 2 or 3 months it's going to be pretty bad up north, as it has been this time of the year in that particular otherwise very, very pleasant area of Thailand. Excuse me for a moment, just talk amongst yourselves. Don't know what I did with the bottle top. Oh, by the way, if you do have any of these, I give them to Steve, because he's sort of got a bit of a passion for these bottle tops at the moment. We saw some of his artwork in last week's show. So thank you, Bill, for that. What else we got? Feed the soy dog, Tim. Oh, we've got some soy dogs around. I do give them all a pat. There's about 4 of them that are feature here. I think they're pretty well fed. They look well looked after, and they're all very friendly, so I say hello to them every day. Question, please comment on work permit requirements for YouTubers in Thailand. This from Swede50. Now, that is a really interesting question, Swede50, and it's one of those fall through the cracks situations, because it's not exactly clear if you do indeed require a work permit for doing YouTube videos. Now, for somebody like me, well, yes, because I'm sort of doing this on a daily basis, and I do derive a modest income from doing so. So I suppose for me it's, well, a business. Beyond that though, if you're a tourist and you're coming to Thailand and you just want to shoot a few videos and load them up onto your YouTube channel, then I think you would be able to say that you're not really in Thailand working. Now, I know it's a vexed question, and there are some people sort of that have just really got it in for YouTubers. YouTube for me is a platform. I sort of keep an eye on the trends for YouTube. There was the case a couple of weeks ago. We had those very successful young South Korean gentlemen who were doing videos in Thailand, and they get routinely 3, 4, 5 million views for each of their videos, and they usually do at least 1, maybe 2 videos a week. They're making a very, very healthy living. And somebody was able to take a photograph of those men after all the publicity about the success of their YouTube channel going into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I think. A lot of people thinking, they didn't have a work permit, and they've been told you better get that sorted out straight away. And I'm pretty sure they did. So, I mean, I think it's more about your intention. If you're coming to Thailand to live and to make money from YouTube, then maybe you do need a work permit. There are probably plenty of YouTubers who don't have work permits who may be deriving an income. Some of them may be deriving a very high income. Then you got the issues of taxation, and because in my case I had to register as a US taxpayer before Google would pay me. So my tax is actually taken out of the money before it's sent to me. So I pay my tax in the United States. Now, in the future with these new taxation rules, will I have to pay some tax here in Thailand? Well, that's not clear either at the moment. So the situation with work permits and taxation for YouTubers or people using other social media to derive an income is a little bit of a grey area where the laws haven't quite caught up with the technology. So I'm sorry, Swede 50, if I can't give you a black and white answer on that. There simply is no black and white, like a lot of things in Thailand, as to that particular issue, although other people may disagree. That's about the best answer I can give you. Okay, what else we got here? Good morning from Doreen. Where's Doreen in Melbourne? I haven't been there before. That's from Robert Dixon. And Atheist One says, no surprise to hear about the bus going over off the road to Pai. I drive to Pai twice in the past 6 months. Apparently there's 721 kurs from Chiang Mai to Pai. My wife and I love it there. A lot of cyclists and motorbike riders do really enjoy those roads up in the north of Thailand. Some of them very, very scenic, and the quality of the roads in most cases is very, very good. Vince Majestic. Yep, grew up surfing on the Gold Coast, and checking out the waves before entering is always a good idea. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to jump in the water, watch out for shark fins. Watch out for... I told somebody the other day, watch out for the sharks, and they took me seriously. It was said as a joke. I think I told the story last week. John Freeney, it's funny how the brakes appear to always be the culprit when it comes to accidents concerning delivery vans and passenger buses speeding. I don't think it's pure coincidence. Yeah, brakes are often used as an excuse to only later find out that there was nothing wrong with the brakes. So just bad driving in some cases is the reason. But it looks like with this recent incident with the Danish people and the dead driver, it may have just been they were going too fast. The bus was just too heavy, and going around a corner they just lost control and it veered off the road and down a ravine. We do wish all those people who were injured a speedy recovery. Okay, let's just check some of these other comments. Jump into the comment section if you've got something to say. It's funny how I've done that one. How, what, why, when and where says air quality here in Chiang Mai bad today, as we could see on the graph, and will only get worse in the next few weeks. We'll be leaving it for a 2-month break in Da Nang to breathe, Da Nang in Vietnam. Keith Morton says a rather warm good morning from Perth, 38 degrees and rising. Yeah, this time of the year is pretty much the hottest time of the year in the southern part of Australia. Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, boy, it can really, really get hot. I remember in Melbourne one day it was about 45 degrees with a strong northerly wind, and walking down the street it was like walking into a hairdryer directly in your face. It was the same day, I think it was called Black Saturday or something like that. It was a day where there were some very bad fires. A lot of people died. But that day was in the streets of Melbourne, just very, very hot and quite uncomfortable, although no humidity. Whereas here, like today, is going to be about 32, 33 degrees, but with quite high humidity, which also makes it a little bit unpleasant. Question, Tim, do you have a list of things you can hire at the beach rentals or things to do? Yes, I do. When people arrive here, I've got a guidebook which has attractions, which has places to eat, places to shop, where there's a clinic, a hospital. Is that my car? It is my car. So, do you have a list of things you can hire? Yeah. Also, if people want to... It's getting a bit bright there in the background. Let's just turn that around. I'll move a little bit. There we go. How's that? So when it comes to... I'm sort of getting... It's bright in the background, so I've just tried to... Whoop, now the table's wobbling. I might move that. Just trying to get things ready here. Rather good morning from... We've also got beach chairs, which are free. I've got a bike, like a treadly bike, that's free to use. There's a sun umbrella, beach umbrella, that's free to use. So when it comes to renting a motorbike, we've got a shop up in town, and they look after our customers should they want a motorbike. I've got a car for hire if somebody wants to rent the car. So all in all, we do have a list of all the things that you might need. And every time the guests come, some say, oh, do you have this or that? And sometimes we don't. Like we had some Asian guests staying last week and they wanted a rice cooker. I hadn't bought a rice cooker. Now we've got a rice cooker in the beach house. By the way, there's a link in the descriptions below should you want to have a look at the 2 current properties we have on a short-term rental. Also a link to our main sponsor, 5 Star Marine. And that there also, there's a link in the description with a special discount for TNT viewers. So yes, Darn One, we do have, we've got a whole PDF which we send to people when they get here. Because there's a guidebook on Airbnb, but it's very difficult to use, and I don't think it's providing much decent information at all. Daryl McGee, hi Tim, plane from Brisbane to Bangkok, plane to Ubon Ratchathani, car to South Sisaket. Okay, so that's how he's getting to where he's going. So he's flying from Brisbane to Bangkok, then flying directly to Ubon Ratchathani, probably Air Asia, might be Nok Air, and then a car to South Sisaket, which is on the Cambodian border. Question, how long does a cab ride take from your cottages, beach houses please, to Patong? Well, that's a fair question, Hans. Okay, from the top of Puket, the island, you've got a 300-metre bridge, which takes you to the province of Phang. So from the top of Puket to the beach houses is only 20 minutes. Now, from the top of Puket to Patong, depending on the time of the day, it could take you an hour. From the airport to Puket at the moment, I think they're usually saying it's going to be 45 minutes to an hour. Again, depending on the time of the day, but anything after like 7 in the morning to 7 or 8 at night It's going to be 45 minutes to an hour from the airport to Patong. So yeah, a lot of people on Puket at the moment, very busy. The roads are packed, so make sure you keep that sort of time in mind if you're going to do that particular trip. Do your beach houses have toilet cams? No, they don't. What sort of question is that? Take the BART bus to Patong. There's a BART bus? I don't believe there is, but thank you, Stephen, for that. Thanks for the info, Tim. See you one day in the near future, says Dam1. More cars arriving. Frank and Rung's family ties. Question, do you consider yourself to be a narcissist, or conversely, do you consider to be a man of the people? I have no idea how to answer that question, nor do I think it's a particularly interesting question. I think at different times of the day I'm a bit of both. Oh dear. Yes, I remember you now. Okay, so Sawadee Cup. Kamnan. Very important person. Always been nice to him. I was invited the other day to make a donation to the forthcoming Turtle Festival. Yes, we do have a Turtle Festival here between March 1 and March 10. We're looking forward to seeing Steve's float. He's worked for, 6 months on this amazing 2-metre turtle. So we are going to be seeing that turtle in the next couple of weeks. Well, March the 1st, I think, is the turtle parade. So we're looking forward to seeing that, plus all the other floats. I think there's going to be a lot of turtles going down the beach. So, we're looking forward to that. Oh dear, quite amusing. Airport to Patong was 1.5 hours when I was there, says Brett Border. That doesn't look like it was a good day. There's some of the soy dogs coming to say hello. Airport to Patong was toilet cams. What the hell? Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Why would you even think like that? The Wu-Tang Life asked the question, do you eat more Thai, Asian food or more Western food? I think I can say quite easily that breakfast, I always try and have a Western breakfast. That's either going to be a cooked breakfast, no baked beans, or it's going to be a muesli and fruit and yogurt type breakfast. For lunch and dinner, almost exclusively Thai food. I might throw in a Western meal from time to time, like a sandwich, maybe even a hamburger once a month. But mainly, lunch and dinner would be Thai food, and there's plenty of really good Thai food around this area. Steve's float is awesome. See you there, Tim, says Corey Jackson. Yeah, wait till you see Steve's float. We're keeping it I'm sure many of you have seen it, but we're going to see a lot more of that in the next few weeks. Just trying to make sure I'm sort of sitting somewhat in the middle. Do you think broccoli will be banned like prostitution in Thailand is apparently illegal? A question from Wilbur Wilson, obviously been a lot in the news over the past week about this particular issue, and it looks like next Tuesday is going to be the D-Day when they're going to be considering the new Cannabis and Hemp Control Bill for Thailand, and then it may or may not go to the Parliament for discussion. Remembering, though, that the current leader of the coalition, most of the coalition parties, except the Pumjai Thai Party and the main opposition party, that's the Move Forward Party, all included in their pre-election manifestos that they were against the recreational use of cannabis in the future. Now, that's what they were saying before the election. So everybody should not be surprised in any way that this new Cannabis and Hemp Control Bill is going to outlaw the recreational use of cannabis, which a lot of people see as a sort of a negative or a retrograde step from the current situation. There needed to be some sort of legislation put in place, and a lot of people are thinking that what they're proposing is going to be too harsh. They are going to codify the medicinal use of cannabis, but I think you can pretty much guarantee that the recreational use will be illegal again. And that's for anything with a THC of more than 0.2%. Now, having said that, the people that used to use or enjoy cannabis before the original decriminalisation a couple of years ago now will still be able to find, there will still be plenty of cannabis around, and whatever they did before that delisting from the narcotics list, they'll be doing that again. So I don't think anybody who has been using the drug or needs to use the drug for any sort of medicinal use or medical use is going to have any problems finding it. The police are going to be happier. They'll be able to sort of use it as a means for allegedly, sometimes, occasionally, getting a few bucks out of people for having cannabis. A little bit of a selfie going on behind me. For having cannabis on their person. But yeah, look, let's wait and see. It's all going to go to Parliament in the next weeks and months, and there could be some changes made, there could be some modifications, so it's not a fait accompli, but that I think pretty much encapsulates sort of what's happening with that one. Just get a prescription, there you go. And then we have people like Vince Majestic who sort of rolls out this cannabis is not harmless. People sort of keep on rolling this, I'd rather have cannabis than alcohol. What on earth does that mean? That's got nothing to do with the formation of this legislation. And what you think about the various advantages or disadvantages or pros and cons of various drugs is not part of this debate at the moment. So I'm not sure why people keep on rolling out this sort of false flag as if that somehow solves the problem. The Thai officials did go to the election with their feelings about this particular issue quite open and widely explained. So as I said, there should be no surprise that there's going to be a winding back of the current laws regarding cannabis here in Thailand. What I think about it is absolutely irrelevant. I'm just passing on the situation and trying to make sure I pass on what's happening with these laws and trying to somehow decode a lot of the news and the comments about it. Goodbye. See you later. Off they go. Bye-bye. They're back to Puket. And yeah, I think pretty much from day one I spelt out exactly what I thought was happening with this particular issue, and it's pretty much worked out to be that way. I feel a case of glaucoma coming, says Bill Ellis. I'm not sure what that means. Daryl McGee, I'm doing the exact same trip as you in 10 days. There you go. You might be able to say hello to each other. Frank and Rung's family ties question. We visited Puket a couple of weeks ago and we loved it, but in all sincerity, you know nothing about drugs of any sort, so shut the fuck up. So thank you very much, Frank and Rung's family. I think it's time to sort of say goodbye to you, sir. I think I've banned you in the past, and I am going to ban you again because you're not particularly interesting. And there we go. And finding you just boring. So goodbye and have a good time. KJ, I wouldn't even say it was a winding back. It's more of putting in place regulations that should have been rolled out when they first decriminalised it. You're right. I think the whole cannabis delisting was very badly handled. And a lot of people have invested a lot of money in these retail shops without the government making clear that that was not their intention for these retail shops to provide those sort of services. So a lot of people are going to be aggrieved by this, and whatever they do, it's not going to be a popular decision. So we'll just have to sort of see what happens in the future. And I'll keep updating that news as there's something more I can pass on. Wilco has a question. Is there a festival, fireworks or anything special happening in Turtle Beach for the start of the Chinese New Year? And is the parade in 2 weeks usually part of that? The Turtle Festival and Chinese New Year are two totally separate things, and they're usually at two different times. The Chinese New Year moves around each year depending on the phases of the moon. The Turtle Beach Festival, the Turtle Festival, is usually in the first week of March, from what I understand. So they're nothing to do with each other, although they're obviously very close together. There were plenty of fireworks on Thursday night, as I mentioned. I've seen nothing since. Turtle Parade, Turtle Festival, I imagine there'll be some sort of fireworks, but I don't know. I might ask Mr. Steve Ross about that for our Grumpy Old Men program, because he's been to the Turtle Festival last year. Just about all folk I have seen doing cannabis have ended up in a mess of one sort of another, says Senny Anns. So thank you for your comment. Larry, I just can't believe all the investors are going to have a fit. Yeah, again, I think they took a chance without the government saying, hey, you can now open a shop. They just took it upon themselves to suddenly open these shops, thinking that that's what the government's intention was. But it was never explained like that. There was always going to be this ban on anything above 0.2% THC. It wasn't particularly... Who's smoking? There was, but a lot of people misinterpreted that, and it wasn't explained very well, and it was explained in language that maybe wasn't translated properly. But these people took a risk, and they may lose everything. Or the government may decide to let those shops remain open. I don't know. Let's just wait and see. The Wu-Tang Life, where do most expats buy their prescription drugs in Thailand? I've never seen even large corporate companies like Walmart. How do you... Where's the rest of that question? How do you know you are getting the real thing? Okay, so look, this is an interesting comment. You can get most prescription drugs over the counter at any pharmacy in Thailand. Some pharmacies are more likely to give a wider range of drugs than others, but things that I've needed prescriptions for in the past, things like acyclovir for shingles, you'd need a prescription in, say, Australia, but here I can just get it over the counter, much cheaper. There's going to be a foreign version, there's going to be a Thai-made one. I've never had any problems with the Thai-made drugs. I'm not saying that you should always get the Thai-made drugs. Make sure you do your homework. But yeah, a lot of prescription drugs you can get over the counter here in Thailand. You can get the same drugs at a hospital, and you'll usually pay 2, 3, 4 times as much for exactly the same drugs. So if your doctor in a hospital gives you a prescription, don't get the drugs at the hospital. Go outside of the hospital to a pharmacy and you'll get exactly the same drugs much cheaper. Hopefully that answered that. Scott D, thank you very much for your usual great support. And we've got a bit of wind up in those trees behind me, the casuarina trees. So from where I am, the other side of the road, you can see just all those great big trees there. And starting to make a little bit of noise as the probably easterly winds are coursing through those trees. And for the next couple of days, I think we've got some quite strong easterly winds, which means it'll be taking the wind offshore. Thank you, Scott, who says, amazing awesome live stream. Thanks, Scott, for your ongoing support. Look forward to seeing you here at Turtle Beach sometime this year. The Bureau Asia, have you been through the menu at the cafe yet? Would love to see you taste test a few of the shakes, etc. in the next live. I've had a few shakes here. I've had a hamburger. I've had some Thai food. It's perfectly good food here. So, okay, I'll see if I can order something next time we do a live stream. Tim, the best news man in Thailand, says Gunnar Horpstead. Thank you very much. Frank doesn't think so. Senny Ans, what exactly is the guy sitting behind you sharing with you? Nice smell. It's just tobacco, unfiltered tobacco. I know the smell. Larry, I thought of you the other day. Oh, where's this going? When I had my first dose of Shingrix, seriously, I felt your pain, and I had chicken pox when young. So yeah, I just one of that. I think some 5% of people who had chicken pox when they were younger, who do get shingles later in life, and it has caused me quite a few health issues over the years. I apparently now have to wait after my recent bout of shingles. At the start of last month, I have to wait 3 or 4 months apparently, and I'm going to get that Shingrix vaccine, which are 2 vaccines 6 months apart, and apparently it works. It's very effective, and I'd be happy never to have another bout of shingles again in my life. Mighty Mouse Fun, funny observation. Yesterday walking around Central in Puket, that's the big shopping centre, and saw more Thai people wearing red with dragons than I would ever see Chinese people wearing that sort of outfit in Beijing. Excuse me. Well, interesting. The Thais love celebrating anything throughout the year. And a lot of those Thais would have Chinese heritage, particularly in Puket, which, like this area, has got a strong links with the Chinese back in the days of trading, maybe even 100, 200, 300 years ago. The savoury history of the McMuffin gets me excited. What are we talking about there? Any insurance that said they have direct billing with Bumrungrad Hospital, so I need my meds from the most expensive place. Okay, I think I've missed that particular one. Good morning, Tim. You've mentioned retirement. Have you set yourself up with an Aussie government pension? They will bank it directly into your Thai bank account monthly. This is from John Smith. Now, interesting, I will be eligible for an Australian pension in about, I think, 2 years' time. I'm not going to avail myself of that. I've done a lot of research. I would have to spend the next 2 years of my life living in Australia if I was going to be eligible for the pension, and that's just making it eligible. Now, with my YouTube channel, the way it is with my writing, the early days of my short-term rental, I'll be able to make a lot more money doing what I'm doing here in Thailand without having to go and pretty much languish in Australia for 2 years just so I can get a pension. So I'm not going to avail myself of the pension that I'd be well entitled to. But here, getting the pension and living offshore is not exactly that easy. And every single person is going to have a different journey on trying to get that pension. For some people, if you've been living in Australia for 2 years of the last, I don't know how many years, you can be eligible for the pension. There's no guarantee that you're going to get it, and there's no guarantee that that will just continue forever and ever and ever into the future, although it might. So I've made the decision that I'm not going to take the Australian pension, and because it's just going to be too many hurdles and too many lifestyle changes that I'm just not prepared for. I'm enjoying my life perfectly well at the moment, and I'm not going to disrupt this very good times living here at this lovely beach in Pangar. Good morning, Tim, says John Smith. You've mentioned retirement. Oh, John, I just answered your question, sorry. What prompted the comment you and Steve had about DJs the other day? Funk bringer. Okay, what prompted the thing about DJs? I can't remember what prompted it, but we both made the comment that we didn't think most DJs were particularly talented, and that in the same way that master chefs and these TV celebrity chefs have been elevated to this celebrity status for just cooking food, In some ways, I see a lot of these DJs have been elevated far beyond their skills when, in most cases, they're just playing other people's music. Yeah, they can rouse up a crowd and they can make a good night, but I'm not sure if their skills, if you keep backing, you're going to hit that car. If their skills match, for example, the skills of a good live musician in a band. But that's just me. We were expressing our opinions. So I don't really elevate people playing records to a crowd to the same sort of skill level as other entertainers. But you might have a different opinion, and that's fine too. Question from Gorilla Pancake. Hi Tim, are you addicted to renovating? That's been suggested to me quite a lot. Look, once I get this one finished, I'm going to, it's not, even when I moved in, I'm still going to have to be painting a bit of this and that. I'm still going to have to be doing the garden. There's a lot of garden to do. So even though we might have moved in, it won't mean that we're absolutely finished. Whether there'll be another project in the future, hopefully nothing of this sort of scale. We started with a floor with some posts. We had to redo the roof. We had to put walls around the place. And we've had to do all the wiring. So it's been a very big job. And I don't really want to do something like this again, but got a 10-year lease on the property, so I'm prepared to invest into, well, not a huge amount, to be able to live opposite this fantastic beach. So yeah, I think I have been addicted to renovating over the past few months, but let's hope I can just start living here and enjoying my YouTubing, do that better, become more skilled at being a YouTuber and a broadcaster, and perhaps do some better programs in the future. Speaking about the retirement, Larry, WA, I'm assuming that might be West Australia, if I apply, but I would not get the government pension somehow in Australia. Okay, there you go. Seri 26, some don't even play their sets live. Talking about DJs. Surely, by law, you're entitled to something you have paid into no matter where you reside, says Dam1. No, if you live outside Australia and you don't live there for more than 180 days a year, you are considered to be not resident in Australia, and so you forego your Medicare and other things that you might have as an Australian citizen. And in my case, I forego the pension. So the Australian government have been cracking down on pensions over the years, just making it more difficult for people to get. And so, no, I won't be able to get the Australian pension. I sense you're a workaholic, says Bill Ellis. Yeah, I've admitted that. I am a workaholic. I always say to people, the most important thing to do when you're considering retirement is considering what you're going to be doing during the retirement. The idea of just sitting down and doing nothing all day gets boring very, very quickly, and people can fall into some bad habits without even knowing it. Now, in the case of Mr. Steve Ross, and I'm sure he's happy to speak for himself on this matter, he's really just thrown himself into, well, art, street art. And he just loves doing community and street art. And he does it really, really, really well. So it's great that he sort of found this sort of new hobby in a way, and he's thrown himself into it, and I'll do everything I can to help him indulge that particular activity. Because as I said, the most important thing about retirement is making sure you've got something to do. You get to 65, you might have another 20, 30 years ahead of you. What are you going to do? How are you going to look after yourself? How are you going to keep yourself busy? So retirement is not just sort of this brick wall that you come to and then everything changes. I think it's just a matter of taking advantage of different opportunities that might arise from the fact that you may not be working in the future, but a lot of people continue to work. My sister is 75. She's still working, going to work every single day, and she's fit and well and enjoying the opportunity to do so. And increasingly, I think we're seeing people getting to the retirement age, finding themselves perfectly fit and well, and enjoying working in the future. There's nothing worse than waking up in the morning and thinking, I've got nothing to do today. that would be the end of me. So, call me a workaholic, but I do enjoy my work. Dam 1. Oh, Wilco, addressing Dam 1, says it's not the same with pensions in Australia. You don't contribute to a pension fund as in America. Okay, we might have had an interruption there. So if we did have an interruption, apologies. If you're still there, great, I'll continue going. So I apologise if there was an interruption to the program there. They might have turned the internet off here or something. And Mr. Ben's World, thank you very much. I've got to go. Thanks for your informative program. This should buy 2 or 3 coffees. So thank you very much, Mr. Ben's World. Appreciate your support of the program and everybody who has supported the program. But I'm also very happy to make this program free for everybody. It's like free access. I do my best to answer as many questions as I can. I do try and make sure that I get things right. If you ask for an opinion, I might express it. You may like that opinion or you may not. But if you ask me a question for an opinion and I explain something, then you're sort of going to get what you get. But I always try and be honest. That's the main thing, Frank. The way I view retirement, says Key J, is not the cessation of work, but pivoting to do the work I enjoy instead of the work I have to do. That's a great way of looking at it, Key J. And a few other quick ones before. Oh, my God, we've been doing this for an hour and 20 minutes. Tim, I retired a long time ago, says Tony Fossey. To fill in my day, I do a radio program on community radio, which is a lot of fun to do. Yeah, I've worked in community radio a lot in the past, community radio in Australia. And I enjoyed 2 particular radio stations I spent a lot of time in and spent time on their boards as well. So, community radio in Australia, public radio, is an important part of the radio community. Changing, I suppose, these days as social media and things like YouTube have given access to different ways of communication. But yeah, I certainly value community radio and congratulations for contributing to that in Australia, I'm imagining. Bill G, question, as a news person, personally, do you follow world events or just focus on Thailand news? Bill, I consume world news every day. However, I don't broadcast world news because my niche is Thai news. Now, sometimes there's a world news story that may impact on Thailand and I'll refer to it, but I don't talk about the world news, although I would spend a good half hour every morning catching up on probably about 10 world news websites before I start looking at the Thai news every day. So, I do follow the world news. And sure, I've got opinions on a lot of the different things happening around the world, the geopolitical situation, but that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here just to talk about Thai news. Speaking of something to do, Tim, this is from Arnold Ziffel. Have you ever visited the Puket Ice Arena? It's fairly close to 5-Star Marine. Yes, I've been there once. Sort of rather strange to have a ice skating rink in the middle of a tropical climate, but yeah, I've been in there and it's certainly a lot colder than outside. The cost of keeping that ice frozen and keeping the air cool in that particular facility must spend a lot of money on very sophisticated air conditioning. But I've been in there. So it's all good fun, and took one of my young relatives ice skating at the time. Okay, almost time to go. We've got 2 more. Oh, Swede 50. Coffee on me, says Swede 50, so thank you very much. I think we answered one of your questions a bit earlier. Brett Bordy, you're so cool, Tim. We value you, at least I do, but I'm sure we all do. I know some people hate me. And sometimes we broadcast news that may be unpopular with some people, particularly this cannabis news. And because I've always sort of said, before you get too excited, this might happen or that might happen, and then, whoop, this is happening, people blame me for the actual change in the news cycle. And because I'm broadcasting it, it's my fault. So I just have to wear that from time to time. But thank you, Brett. believe me, there are people who have sent me some very nasty emails, and I've had to block plenty of people who have made physical and violent threats towards me and my families, and I simply won't tolerate that. Please, Tim, start drinking beer. That's from Nongua. So, no, I'm not going to be drinking. I don't drink alcohol. It's not my thing. But good luck if you do enjoy a bit of the brown beverage. And from Luke Manton. Luke, thank you very much. Really appreciate your support all the way there from Australia with a thumbs up as well. So thank you, Luke, and appreciate you joining us on the live stream and your ongoing support of the program. Okay, so thank you very much. It occurs to me, says Leo, let's keep on coming up, I'll keep reading them. Leo Blood, occurs to me that your chats from the cafe are much more interesting and lively with the environment than it would be if you were alone in your house. Yeah, I think you're right. And at the moment, I'm so time constrained. The YouTube programs have taken a back seat, and they're not as good as I would like them to be, and I perhaps don't spend as much time researching as I would like, and these live chats, I mean, after I've done this, I've got other things to do back at the house. Got to meet up with the builder, I've got 2 or 3 deliveries I've got to supervise, then we're recording Grumpy Old Men, and then I'll be painting all afternoon. So there's plenty to do. So fitting these live streams in is not easy. But I do want to keep on doing them because, well, 1, I enjoy them. And 2, I think I can sort of get better skilled at doing it if I do them more often. But I agree, it's more interesting if we're out and about and there's things happening in the background that I can react to. Are you going to travel around a bit, asks Mark. Well, not in the short term. I've got so much to do here in this town, I won't be travelling anywhere in the short term. But sometime in the future, I'll take my iPhone and my MacBook Pro and we'll find a power plug and some internet somewhere else in Thailand or maybe in borders beyond, and I'll be doing some programming. But at the moment, we're here. Dear Tim, says Celine Gardia, dear Tim, you were a lifeline during COVID for us expats. We would await your 5 p.m. news reports to find out what was going on here in Thailand. Keep on doing what you do. Yeah, it was really difficult during COVID, and because we were broadcasting basically the sort of the mainstream facts and news about COVID, which was the responsible thing to do, a lot of people poured a lot of hate on us, wanting us to sort of broadcast some of the alternative opinions about COVID, but that was not my job on YouTube. I was there basically as a sort of a line between all the information coming out from the Thai government about restrictions and travel and all that, and you. So there was no use me just postulating or going on about some of the various theories about things happening during COVID. That wasn't my role. I was here to pass on existing verified information. We appreciate your efforts, Tim says. PJ, 2 more. Have you ever considered hosting a clinical masterclass how to host a YouTube program? From Tony Restall. Well, yeah. I'm not really sure what I can add. I suppose I've got a body of knowledge about how to use YouTube and a body of knowledge about how to keep an audience interested for an hour. But I'm not really an expert. But I mean, if there were enough people who wanted to know tips and tricks about YouTube, I mean, I could do yeah, but again, I haven't got time for that at the moment, but I'd like to make time. Even if there's only 20, 30 people, I'm happy to talk to them about that particular thing and answer any questions I could. Thank you, Tony. Watch Dr. Campbell's most recent revelations. Shocking, guys. Yeah, look, Dr. John Campbell, I used to watch him every day, but he has veered from being a great source of information to following just one line and pushing a particular concept about post-COVID life. And he's clearly chasing clicks. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Good luck to him. I hope he can make a lot of money out of it. But whilst I found him very interesting during COVID, he has veered right towards one side of the spectrum and pushing one particular side of the argument. cherry picking statistics. And yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people that do that, and he does it very well. And he built up an audience, making himself very popular and believable. But I just lost faith in him over, say, the last year. But I know he's got a lot of supporters, and a lot of people enjoy watching him. So all I can do is wish him well. I just won't watch him anymore. Well done for you not spilling water today. I spilled water 3 times last week. Well done. Hey Tim, is there community radio stations in Thailand? No. Never have I had a bad day in Thailand since I retired here. That's from Stephen Richter. And with that note, nothing better I could say than that. Happy Chinese New Year. Happy Lunar New Year. Gongxi Fa Chai. What do you do? Something like that. Hope you have a great day. Wear a red shirt and enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll be back tomorrow with Grumpy Old Men. No idea what Steve and I are going to talk about, but we'll get pilloried for talking about something or other, I'm sure. But it's been great having you with us over the past hour. Hopefully you're a bit wiser about things happening here in Thailand. Not wiser, knowledgeable about things happening here in Thailand. And we'll see you next time. Have a great day.